Today we have a completely random salvage pickup, and admittedly I went after these because I wanted the cases. Unfortunately, both of the cases are completely trashed. That being said, let's take a dive inside these mystery boxes and see what we got. Here's the first box we're going to look at. As you can tell, it's super crusty, but let's see what's inside. So we crack this box open and let's see what we got inside. Let's move some of this stuff out of the way here. And of all the random things we could come across, we found a boroscope. It seems to have a solid cold light source here, and this is the scope itself. Let's get this thing out of here and take a look. This here's the eyepiece, the part that the camera would attach to. It's a little tore up, but we'll check the functionality here shortly. And here we have a lens kit. This is an Olympus SMR. This appears to be in really good condition, surprisingly. Looks like we have some extra filters over here. And overall, this is a pretty cool find. We'll have to check this out in more detail here a little bit later. We have some other assorted parts as well. We have this 35mm film Olympus camera. Not in too bad a shape, but we'll see. But this here is what the big win of this could possibly be. This is an Olympus ILK4 cold light source, and you never know, something like this might be wanted in some different circles. Might be able to flip this if I find the right buyer. So let's move on to our next box, and this one is completely wrecked, held together by a bungee cord, and the lock is completely janked up. And here we go, a second complete boroscope setup. This one is an Olympus ILK5. You can see it has all the original documentation here. And let's get all that out of the way. And here's the eyepiece. And at first glance, it appears to be in a little bit better shape than the other one. The camera in this one is completely trashed, but it still does have a roll of undeveloped film in it. And that could prove very interesting if I can find some place to get that developed cheap enough. We'll do that in another video. We have some eyepieces in this bag here. We have a small part in this case here, and we'll take a closer look at that a little bit later. This appears to be some type of clamp mount. This little box here appears to have some extra lamp for the light source. And here we have an unspent roll of Kodak 35mm film. Heck, I can probably get a pretty penny just for that roll of film if I find the right, photography buff or maybe a hipster or something like that. And here in the center is certainly the money piece. We have a second cold light source. This one looks barely used. The side panel opens and it looks like we have another spare bulb. This thing is quite heavy and absolutely rock solid. This one actually might sell pretty good to the right buyer. But that's it other than a few odds and ends, and now let's take a closer look at some of these items. So here's a closer look at the ILK5 and its scope. It's got quite a few cracks in it, a lot of damage, not very good condition at all, and I don't have high hopes for this one right here. Let's power up the ILK5 cold light source. It comes on promptly. Everything seems to work. That's always a plus. We'll plug the scope in and take a look. And yes, I know you can't see down inside of there, but the light is transferring down the line adequately. Looking through the scope though, this one appears to have some internal lens damage. You can see the light, but the lens is cracked beyond repair. But the light source itself works great, so I'll consider that a win. Moving on to the ILK4, this one powers right up. And even though this is the older of the two, the scope on this one is working perfectly. There's a clear view down the line, and when I put this next to the case, I can see the fibers in this case absolutely crystal clear. This one is a total win. All the adjustments appear to be working just fine, and I am super happy with this one. Let's take a look at the back of the ILK4 here, and you can see it has an easily removable and replaceable power cord, a fuse, and a voltage adjustment. It looks like this used to have a strap or something like that right here, which of course we could replace easily if I wanted to, but not sure I'm going to have a need for that. This has a flip down access to the bulb replacement, and I think both of these, the ILK4 and the ILK5, use the same lamp. So overall, I've got 4 bulbs for these 2 pieces of hardware. And this is just a quick look at that little case from the original box, and here it is. What this is an adapter which changes the scope view 90 degrees, and it works with both the ILK4 and the ILK5 scope. So very good. That'll work just fine. Also, just to verify, the working scope that came with the ILK4 also works with the better cold light source of the ILK5. And so that's absolutely solid. This is most likely the complete setup that I would keep if I decided to keep this and not flip the equipment, but we'll see. It's my understanding that these boroscopes are used to check lines in gas furnaces, and they definitely have a residual odor that would suggest that that's exactly what these were used for. But hey, leave me a comment below if you have experience with these types of things, and let me know if I'm on the right track or not. Overall, as a free salvage find, I would consider this at least a halfway decent score. Though I don't have any real use for either of these 2 items, they might move on to somebody else who's looking for some cold light sources on the cheap. You never know. And since they cost me nothing, I can afford to let them go for very little, and still be out ahead at the end of the day. Well, that's about all I've got for these 2 boroscopes. Thanks for hanging out with me today and checking out yet another salvage item. If you find this type of random content interesting, well, be sure to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below letting me know what other type of salvage you're finding. And maybe, just maybe, I'll see you on the next video. If you enjoy videos about the randomness of our amazing world, consider clicking on the globe to subscribe, or maybe checking out one of the other videos right here.